I got a bit picked on at school and ended up getting my head cracked in primary school. I had a lot of aggression back then. I just got obsessed with training up. No matter what you do in life, there's duality. You can't have good without bad, you can't have bad without good, you can't have success without failure. Everything with the business, because of my child, I always want to make people feel better. God putting me in a total other direction just to give me a slap in the face. And then I was like, this is not what I want to do. It was depression. You can't sit in that hole forever. It's just going to get deeper and deeper. So definitely was just like, let's go, you know what I mean? All or nothing, roll the dice, have the courage to say, you know, can you help me with a few things? Jealousy's a bitch, but someone being envious that is around you and knows you, that's just a rat. We live in a very stressful world these days. You just turn the TV on for 5 seconds and you're stressed out, right? Like the news can go kiss my ass. It's just about raising cortisol.
You don't do milk?
No, it's from an obese, prolactating cow's tits. Just live in the present. I don't want to look back at regrets. A whole town came out and celebrated me. And they called me River. River, River, River. I was like, what's this River thing? They're like, River, show us. River.
Before we jump into today's episode, I have a small favor to ask from you. If you've gotten any value from any of the podcasts, any of the content that I have put out, please hit the subscribe button. It honestly helps me so much. It helps this channel in growing. And as you've seen, as the channel grows, the guests get bigger and better, which means I can provide more knowledge and more value to you, the listener. Thank you and enjoy today's episode. Stan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to jump on the Betar Project podcast, bro. What made you say yes?
I was grateful that you reached out, you know, and you asked me, and it made me feel special.
Because you haven't done any podcasts like before, like about your story and your journey.
Yeah, not so much one-on-one. I've been on a group podcast with the bodybuilders and all that sort of stuff, but not about my journey. So this is really interesting.
The reason I reached out is you're from Western Sydney, you're from Penrith, you got a journey, like your parents are immigrants, arrived with one suitcase. What does myself and the listener need to know about you to better understand the man that sits in front of us today?
Yeah, I guess it's like you can start from the bottom and work your way up, you know, no matter what. And we started off in Maryland in a hostel. All of our clothes, all of our bedding was from St. Vincent de Paul, God bless them. And then I ended up in sunny St. Clair, 2759, which is pretty rough, you know, back in the day. And I guess you can follow certain crowds and end up in certain situations, or you can take a different road and, you know, change your life. And if anyone's listening, you can do it. You definitely can do it. Just believe in yourself and make sure you follow the right road and stay true to what your passion is, you know? So yeah, I found my passion. Unfortunately, probably not through the way I wanted to. You know, I got a bit picked on at school and ended up getting my head cracked in primary school.
Yeah, wow.
And that set me off, you know. My dad, the way he treated the situation, because he was pretty hard, you know, like came from war-torn country and a lot of stress. And he was kind of like, you know, I guess ashamed in a sense that I let it happen. And I just started training after that. I was like, I'm never going to let this happen to me again.
How old were you when that happened?
12.
12. And you started in the gym then?
Home gym.
Home gym, yeah.
Out in the gym.
Yeah, that's right.
16, legally. Now that I own a gym, I know all that. But yes, I could do 1,000 push-ups in my bedroom. I could do 1,000 sit-ups. I had to have little intervals, but I'd mark it down until I got to 1,000. And in my mindset, I thought that's what makes you a strong man and makes you, you know, invincible. I didn't know about MMA. UFC wasn't around back then. And now you grow up, you realize the bodybuilding doesn't help you. You have to be able to smash someone in the face and have the technique to do it. But back then I thought, you know, if I get massive, no one will ever mess with me again. And I actually planned to go get that kid back, like actually did a lot of strange things. Like I got knives, I got batons, you know, I went nuts.
Yeah, a lot of built up anger towards him.
I did. I found out where he lived. I went to his house. I found an alleyway that was next to his house. I planned all these things to get ready to attack this kid, you know what I mean? I probably would end up in juvenile detention for sure. And I had a lot of aggression back then too. A lot of fighting in St. Clair growing up and stuff like that. So yeah, I was really like hell-bent to get him. You know?
What stopped you from going after him?
This is actually pretty funny. I knocked on his door and his dad answered it, and I swear to you, and it's not man exaggeration because we all know there's man exaggeration. This is not man exaggeration. He had a bikie vest on, like 1%. Huge dude, opened the door, looked down at me and said, "What do you want?" And I was like, nothing.
Guts just dropped?
Just surrendered there. Yeah, just guts dropped. Tall dude, big, you know, looked mean as. And I felt sorry for that kid on the way home. You know, I picked up all my tools started walking all the way back to my house because I think he was in Erskine Park or something like that. I was in St. Clair, so it was a good 40-minute walk. And in my head, I was like, he has to live with that. Do you know what I mean? So, but then I just got obsessed with training after that because I've been getting ready for about 6 months to make that knock on the door. Yeah.
It's interesting you had that level of empathy at that age. I guess as adults now, we can look back and being bullied in school, the people that usually bully are bullied at home, or there's always something going on in their life, so they push that onto other people to feel good about themselves. So for you to have that self-awareness and that empathy at a young age, be like, fuck, he has to live with that person. You don't know what's going on in his life. And you kind of, in a way, let go of that and moved on with your life is so pivotal, man. Yeah, because you could have went down that dark path. You could have got him at school or at another point and then ended up in juvie, like you said.
I actually have a lot of empathy in my life as well. Like if I go to the cinemas or something like that, there's someone coming in on their own. Like I'll go say hello to them or talk to them because I just feel bad that they're on their own, Where do you think that comes from? And they might just be introverts. Now I've realised because my youngest son's an introvert, so now I realise that some people just want to be alone. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I don't really know. I think God-given or it's in me, but I always want to make people feel better.
Funny thing, you mentioned introvert. I'm actually an introvert.
Oh, wow.
So a couple of years ago, I would not be doing this podcast or speaking to you or anyone new.
I'm very proud of you.
I just kept to myself, and then I jumped out of my comfort zone and started all this, and here I am today. So
you definitely don't come off like that.
Yeah.
You've done such a great job.
It's been a lot of fucking work, bro, that's for sure. And I think that's the message I like to give to other introverts. Like for your son example, they probably feel like they can't speak to people and they just want to be alone and they feel very closed off sometimes. And it's like, it's a trained skill. You can go out there, you can build the confidence, you can speak to people, but it's understanding that introvert, extrovert, the way I see it is like an energy system. As an introvert, the more interactions you have, the more draining it becomes. Whereas an extrovert, you go out there and the more interactions you have, you gain energy from that. Yeah. So it's like, it's understanding like, hey, I may be introverted, but I can still go out there, have those interactions, socialize, but I need to come back to myself and have that me time so I can recharge the batteries. Once I came to understand that, bro, if I can change the game.
I'm going to have to teach him that.
Yeah.
For sure. That's awesome.
Does he struggle with like anxiety or anything like that?
We thought he did.
Yeah.
But we just didn't realize, because both me and my wife are extroverts.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's an introvert. She doesn't. But we thought he did, but he's great at school. He's got friends. He's very good at his marks and because he's so focused as an introvert, he's quite clever.
Yeah.
You might find that a lot with introverts too. And you guys have great radars, I find, because you wait to really find out if that person's good enough to accept, as a friend. Mm-hmm. And I like sort of seeing introverts now, watching them. I've got a guy that works with me who's very introverted. And you can sort of pick who's a good person or not through you guys, like your radar, So, going back to your question, I don't think he's anxious. I just need to understand him better because he keeps to himself so much. And he doesn't need to hug me or, the older one hugs me, he's crazy, he's hilarious, cracking jokes. And the younger one out of nowhere will just say something that's so profound, because you've waited so long to hear it from an introvert. Yeah. So it's like it's got not more value than my other son, no way, do you know what I mean? But it's got a lot of value when he finally does say what he wants to say.
Has that been
listen?
Has that been a struggle for you having two sons in there? They're very different. Like I'm assuming your other son's more like you, whereas your other one's a lot more closed off.
A full mini me, the other one. Yeah, even looks like me, behaves like me. He's sporty. He's hilarious. And it's been so interesting to watch as I finally got my head around duality and like your podcast. Yep. I just love what we went through walking in here because there's one side of your house that looks totally different to the other. Yeah, and I think it's so cool. Because no matter what you do in life, there's duality, you can't have good without bad, you can't have bad without good, you can't have success without failure. And with my kids, I see the duality in the both of them because they're totally different to each other. But they still get along and find a way to get along. That's the best.
Yeah, I think that's important as a parent, as a father, to understand that there is duality and your kids are different. I think my father struggled with that. So my brother is exactly like my dad, whereas I was like my mom, an introvert and closed off. So he never fully understood me and in a way treated me differently, which then lack of self-confidence, lack of self-worth, because I didn't feel like, I knew he loved me, but I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And that led to a lot of resentment, a lot of anger towards him. But now it's just full of empathy and love because for him, it's a different era. He didn't understand. He doesn't even understand himself to a degree. And as a parent, you're just doing the best with the tools that you have, and he didn't have the best tools. So for me to let go of that regret and exchange that with empathy is so important. And now me being a father, I only got one child at the moment, but I know when I have my second, they're going to be differences.
Yeah.
And for you, like you have two kids, you've noticed and you have the awareness that, hey, they're different here. And it's not to push the other one to the side because they're not like you. It's to understand them. And it's so important as a parent to be able to understand that duality and understand both children, because then they do feel loved and feel like, hey, I may not be the same as my dad, but he understands that I am different, but it's not a bad thing. Because as soon as you, for me personally, as soon as I felt like being different was bad, bro, that's where the spiral hit. I just didn't feel like I fit in. And as I mentioned, no confidence, no self-worth. And I just lived in my comfort bubble because I was scared to go out. So, dude, you're doing a great job so far as a parent to fucking have that awareness and understand the duality.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely sort of trying to read into it and speak to introverts. I'm so glad you opened up with your sort of experience, because we can only all learn from each other. And I found out he loves like writing notes instead. Do you know what I mean? So I was writing funny notes, and geez, he's hilarious. Like the jokes that come out of these notes, I laughed till tears.
He's creative?
Yeah, very creative. And this is what we kicked this off when he was about 8. He's 9 now, so we've been doing it for about a year.
Yeah.
We just write little notes to each other, like you're at school, you know? And he is hilarious. I had no idea of his humor, and it's deep and it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The joys of kids, man. It's one of my biggest achievements is becoming a father. I'm sure it is for any father out there. You could do all the things in the bodybuilding, the business, all that stuff, but being a father is like up there with the top achievements.
Well, I did everything with the business because of my child. As soon as we found out we're pregnant, I was 25 years old, so pretty young starting out, and not too happy with my situation with work, and knew I couldn't afford to have a child. It's quite expensive in this day and age. And I sorted myself out. And my first child's the reason I got into business, and my wife, we both left our jobs. We both bought businesses the day we found out we're pregnant.
Really? What were you doing prior?
Personal training.
Yeah, okay.
And then out of nowhere, my neighbors were driving trains, and they just said there's big money, whatever. So I went to that course, and I was so depressed doing it. I suck at locations. I suck at timetables. I have no idea why I decided to do this. I think it was like almost God putting me in a total other direction just to give me a slap in the face. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. It was depression. Like, I was not happy there at all. And I kept reading about nutrition, training. That's all I loved. And I started losing my passion. And I was like, I can't let this flame like die. I trained too hard before that for so many years. I've done 2 natural comps in the ICN and went quite well at them. Like, I came 2nd and 3rd. So I was pretty motivated by then. And I was like, I'm not letting go of this no matter what. And then a business opportunity came up for me, and a business opportunity came up for my wife. And it was a lot of money to buy into both businesses, but I didn't care because it was actually like almost my mental health meant more than the money anyway. So if I could do something I loved, and if I had to pay that money to do that, it was my life savings, it didn't matter. So I bought her helped her buy into Specsavers, and I bought into Body Beyond through friends of mine. I'd work there in the gym as a PT, and I'd work 1 day a week for them just for free, just to help them out. And I just loved them. They were my coaches. They were my homeboys. They trained really hard. They had great energy. They had magnetism. One was really stern and strict and introverted, and the other one was a massive extrovert with this just magnetic power. And I just had to be around him. And then one day they just said, we're not selling this to anyone else but you. And it was amazing. The extrovert Shane, he just said to me, I said, my wife's pregnant, man. This is my life savings. Like, please don't stitch me up here. Like, is this going to be making money? Like, he goes, look, it's not making the most money now, but with you, I'll make money. And when he believed in me, I believed in me, Yeah.
What made you take that risk? Like, obviously, your partner's pregnant. The job you're at is paying the bills at the moment. And now you're taking a risk to go into a business that may or may not succeed. A lot of people in that scenario where it's like, they're working a job they hate, but there's something over here that they want to chase, but it's that risk factor in the middle. Fuck, do I do this? Do I not do this? Is it that immigrant mindset of just fucking getting after it?
Yeah. And that we sort of mentioned before, that duality thing. If you hate what you're doing, you're not going to go well in life, in mindset, in your conscious, in your unconsciousness. You're going to keep putting thoughts in your head that you're not good enough for, and it's just going to get worse. And you need to get out of that trap. You can't sit in that hole forever. It's just going to get deeper and deeper. So definitely was just like, let's go. You know what I mean? All or nothing. Roll the dice. I'd rather have a crack like that than keep living on the way I was, for sure. Because that just lead to depression and stress and everything else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
At least when it comes to the business side of things, there's going to be stresses, but you can control those stresses, right?
Yeah.
So at least you know you're in control. You have the freedom to work on something that you enjoy day in, day out. Whereas a lot of people go into the jobs that they hate and they're having the stresses that they may not be able to fully control because they're stuck in this job to get the wage, to pay the bills, to buy the material things, to impress the people that they don't even fucking like. Like, it's a never-ending cycle.
I've got mad respect for those people too, because they're obviously doing it for someone else a lot of the time, like their kids or their partner. You know, there's another reason. Or they're leading up to do something with that money. So I'm proud of those people too.
Yeah. Because
they're building a future for themselves too. You can't invest in a business if you have no capital. So they're obviously determined still, even in that shitty situation, to push forward. So all the best to them as well. But find what you love in life, because that's the most important thing, and then go for it. You know, that's all you need to do.
You know, you need that passion, you need that purpose. And for me, this is it. And at the moment, I'm still working a day job.
Yeah.
And Fridays, I just started taking Fridays off work, and I'm slowly going to digress from my day job into this. But it's just about taking that leap, taking that risk. And ever since I took the risk to take one day off a week, bro, already the growth is like, imagine if I take more days off.
Yeah.
You just got to take one step at a time and believe in yourself, because everything's going to come into place as long as you're putting in the work day in, day out.
It's not even the money at the start. Like, you know, I haven't paid you, haven't paid me, but you're building up a business through your hard work. And back when I started my business, I was giving out diets for free. I was giving out training periods for free. Some kids would come to me and buy a $40 supplement. I'd spend 3 hours with them, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because that energy will come back to get you, you know what I mean? And come back tenfold. You just got to put in the hard work and give a little bit extra. And I think you just mentioned before, you're going to be renting out this room, and I was so happy to hear that, because I get pros coming down from the States and other parts of the world. I can't wait to rent this space from you, you know? So I wish you all the best with it. I think it's great. I can feel that this is your passion as soon as I walked in the door. Yeah.
I'm excited to have you in here in the future, bro. It's going to be a good vibe. What have been some of the darkest moments in business that you've been like, fuck, do I give up?
Oh, I don't know if I'm even allowed to mention them. There's criminal parts to it. Look, the second week I took over my business, there was a new group formed in the underworld.
Yeah.
And they came to give us a visit. And they were going to take over the gym, supposedly, and my supplement store and everything else. And it was quite threatening, man. You know, that was my second week. My wife was still pregnant. Yeah, that was some sleepless nights. And yeah, I probably wouldn't go in too deep.
How do you get through something like that? Like, you're just new into business. This shit comes up, and like, holy crap! Like, what do I do?
Well, luckily it doesn't go on anymore so much. You know, like all that sort of died down now. And this is many years ago.
Yeah,
many moons ago. But how do you get over that? You wake up every day and you go forward. You know, you don't go backwards. You're too deep in the pool. You've already jumped in, so you got to swim. You know what I mean? And yeah, just watch yourself.
Well, you obviously came out the other side. That's for sure. You didn't drown.
Yeah, thank God. They set up a business across the road, and that failed. And yeah, luckily it all panned out really well. Yeah, but that was super stress. That was crazy.
It would have been. I want to dive into, I guess it's a bit of a taboo topic of steroids, right? And it's not so much about if you've taken them and you passed and everything like that. It's also the effects steroids can have on your mindset and why people actually go down the path of steroids, more so like body image, body dysmorphia. You would see that a lot in the gym, like the skinny kids that goes in there and they want to take juice to get big muscles.
Yeah.
What impact does that have? And what advice do you have for those 16-year-old kids or 18-year-old kids that feel like they need steroids to get those muscle gains?
Well, there's so many other ways about it these days. There's coaching, which we didn't have back in the day. There's education with the workouts with personal trainers. There's obviously supplements has exploded, as everyone knows. And, you know, people take the piss and go, oh, they don't work, they don't do this. Well, I'm a huge advocate of it, and not just because I own supplement shops, but my coach a few years ago introduced me to so many new supplements I never knew of. and they work wonders, even for your mindset. Sedatives, relaxants, natural relaxants that can chill you out. And if you lower cortisol, you'll raise natural testosterone. So unfortunately, test levels are dropping, and that's already proven by science. And test and cortisol sort of fight against each other. So in a way, answering that question, testosterone can lower stress. So elevating your natural testosterone will be a great move to have less stress in your life and more confidence. Unfortunately, there is a lot of steroid use, and they're taking products that they shouldn't be, that affect the mind. You know, I've had a lot of friends that have taken products like, you know, Trenbolone and things like that make you extremely aggressive. They wipe out tryptophan to the brain, and they don't even know about this. And then if you don't get tryptophan, you don't get serotonin turning to melatonin. So there goes your sleep. So now you're waking up stressed, tired. I've seen so many marriages fall apart because of it. I've seen so many friends do sort of stupid things because of it, like suicide. And it is a thing, and people need to be more aware of it, I guess. And no one really talks about that. But that's a great question you bring up. You know, that's a topic that's not talked about. And I hate it. You know, I only guide people in the best direction possible, and move them away from this abuse of it. And it is filling some sort of gap, I guess, you know, just like other drugs are, like, methamphetamines and alcohol and cigarettes. They're all filling a void. I remember talking to a naturopath about it, and she said, we all have our drug. You know, everyone has a choice of drug, whether that's like dopamine from running. I guess that's not a drug, but, you know, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever, some vice.
We're all chasing something.
Yeah. Competing for me, like that's my, you know, motivation, incentives that keep going forward. But everyone's got something, hey, that they get hooked on. And it's just unfortunate when you can take something that, can potentially cause problems if you're doing it in a silly way and abusing it, just like anything else.
Yeah. Especially for young kids, like for myself, I was 16, had insecurities of being so skinny, and I felt at the time I was chasing the dream of playing NRL. So
wow, that's the same as my son right now.
Yeah, okay. So I thought I needed gear to go to that next level, to put on size, to be strong, to make the rep teams. And yeah, I blew up. I was 15 kilos heavier than what I am now.
Yeah.
I was big, but I lost my fitness, lost my self-confidence. I was just puffy, right? Did not help me one bit. I thought it did. And I thought on the outside, I was like, oh yeah, I'm jacked. People are going to see me as serious. But in the inside, I wasn't happy, man.
When you get big that quickly too, a lot of it's aromatizing into estrogen, which prolificates cells, which is what can form into tumors and a lot of dangerous things, but also can hold a lot of fluid and water retention. It's not really muscle. Do you know what I mean? You got to train hard and eat hard and be super consistent to actually build solid, proper muscle. And it's not real, you know, it's just water retention. As soon as you finish the products, they're probably not all of it disappeared, but majority. You know?
Most of it. And because I didn't do PCT properly, I got a bit of gyno, and that then hurt my confidence a lot more. It's just like, I felt...
There goes wearing white or grey shirts out the window.
Yeah, and then for that period where my test was just rock bottom, I felt like shit, man. It took months for me to regain natural test levels. Because I'm 16, I had no clue.
No PCT, no clue.
I was buying this shit off the black market using Bitcoin.
Yeah. Imagine
if I kept my Bitcoin in there.
It's so common now because of these websites, you know, like everyone's just buying online 24/7. I can't believe how many websites there are, but yeah, that sucks to hear, man. I guess there's a lot more education around it now, but even more so, there's education on training. So you as an ectomorph with a fast metabolic rate, fast thyroid, should have been shown how to train shorter to burn less calories and more explosive to build fast twitch fibers, and should have been shown how to eat a bit better to sort of, you know, fill those areas for your body type. And I guess the knowledge wasn't there back then, you know, and it's getting out there now because there's so much more coaching than ever before. And I meet a lot of ectomorphs and, you know, they sit down with me, they pay me. And I say, okay, we're going to cut your workout down from an hour and a half to 20 minutes. And their jaw drops. I'm like, you paid me, you're going to do it my way or what? And they're like, yep, I paid you, I'm going to do it your way. I said, good. 3 weeks later, they come back, they've gained 4 or 5 kilos of muscle tissue, you know, because they're not burning so much calories in the gym anymore. And they're finally learning how to train for their body type. So there's so many more answers now and solutions now than there ever was before. But yeah.
Talk to me about the short training sessions, because for myself, I think it's going to be beneficial for me and a lot of people like myself out there, where we feel like we have to be in the gym for hour and a half to build muscles, because you see all these big bodybuilders smashing out in the gym. But you just mentioned a 20-minute session, and you can, as long as you eat right and everything like that, you can gain lean muscle mass.
Yeah, well, cortisol interrupts testosterone, you know, it lowers it. So if you raise your stress higher and higher, you're going to lower your test lower and lower. And where do you produce the most cortisol, most physical cortisol in the whole day? In the gym, usually, unless you've got some sort of laborious job.
Yeah.
And usually it's where you burn the most calories because there's DOMS, dormant onset muscle soreness. So there's going to be up to 4 days of, you were mentioning you trained really hard yesterday, you're still sore.
Yeah.
So this could be 4 or 5 days before you recover that muscle tissue. So it could be, in the thousands of calories. We don't really know. We try to calculate RMR. We try to calculate, calorie expenditure, but you don't know. So one of the most biggest calorie burns is lifting weights. And that's been proven now because everyone's telling you if you want to lose weight, train weights. Don't just focus on cardio. But I guess you can try to push more meals and it'll just affect your liver, kidneys, your colon, your gut. Can you keep up with that food? Can you keep up with that digestion? Sometimes yes,
I can't. I shit myself.
There you go.
And you see it on YouTube. You just force yourself to eat all these calories. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I love you being honest. but can we, lower the calories you're burning out, the output? Yes, we can. And it's so hard to get in your head. But if I take you through a session, I'd like to.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this. So, then you'll finally realize that is the biggest set of my life. That set that we just did was more than my whole workout. I bet you in the first 2-3 exercises we do, it'll be bigger than your whole workout, and that will have taken us 10 minutes. And you'll look me in the eyes and say, that was more intense and a bigger pump than I had in the last hour and a half that I used to train. And I say, I don't know. And I still leave the gym all the time because I do HIIT, like sort of Dorian and Mike Mensah and Arthur Jones. And I leave the gym and people say to me, how are you possibly growing that much when I'm still here on my warm-up and you finished? And I said, well, that's how I train. And they're like, no, it's not possible. I'm like, but you just came up and asked me, so you've seen it, but you still don't believe it? Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Especially for people like yourself, people like me, which we have so much going on. We need to be able to do these short, sharp sessions and get the benefits off the back of it too. Like for me, I don't have all the time in the world to train.
Yeah.
So I need to get in there, get the work done, but know that as long as I eat right and everything like that, I can get the results. So you've actually got me very interested, and we have to train together because there's a lot of people like myself that are, I wouldn't say time poor, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in their life.
Yeah, you really want to protect your adrenals. And as soon as they're fried, you can get full adrenal fatigue where you can't even get out of bed. And I've had many bodybuilding mates that have had it. And you could be bedridden for months. No one really talks about it, but it's a thing. And you got a lot of stuff to do. You need cognitive function for this podcast to ask the right questions. You need to study. You need to learn. And you need time. You got your new baby girl. Huge congratulations. You need time for her. It's a very selfish thing to do sometimes to go to the gym all the time. But I love keeping it short. I get way more work done, but I've got results too. Does it suit everyone? No. If you're an endomorph, like a really large frame and slow metabolic rate, you need to train more. But, majority of us that got somewhat, genetically gifted at a bit faster metabolic rates, definitely train less, in my opinion. But everyone's welcome to their own opinions,
Yeah. And you mentioned the word selfish before, and coming into bodybuilding, if you're preparing for a show, you have to be very selfish. How did you balance all that, especially business, family, and then preparing for shows? Because you wanted to be the best at your game.
Yeah.
You got to put all that time into yourself. Yeah,
I've really learned over the years of all these preps, like how to make it easier. And that's what I try to show people when they sign up with me for coaching is, otherwise, if it's not easy, it's going to be harder. And that's going to make your life harder. And that's going to bring a lot of mental stress into the picture. So unfortunately, a lot of these athletes are very dehydrated and don't know much about electrolytes. On your blood panel, only 2% of your potassium's in your bloodstream and 95-98% is inside your cells. So we get blood work done and we think we're all hydrated, but majority of us aren't. And that goes on to mental health, which you sort of bring into the podcast a lot, I noticed. If I like to say this to a lot of people, if you've been in the desert, you watch a film, right? And they've been in the desert for 4 or 5 days, they're going crazy, aren't they?
Yep.
They start hallucinating. They start talking all sorts of nonsense. And that's majority of people prepping. And that's because they're severely dehydrated. They sweat. They do 2 sessions of cardio a day. They do weights. They got a physical job. And then they're sometimes eating carbohydrates, and hydrates will lower potassium. Insulin will lower potassium. So any of those factors are causing severe dehydration. So that's already like a mental game. And then unfortunately they're eating certain foods that are, causing inflammation and bloat they don't even know of. And that doesn't make you feel the most comfortable. And pounding themselves in the gym, where they're lowering progesterone, testosterone, raising cortisol, and you're a mess. And it's not healthy for some people because they don't have the tools to do it. They're not doing it right, or they don't even have the mental capacity to do it. It's not enjoyable anymore. And I feel so sorry for those people that prep and force themselves through all that, because then they get turned off and they're not passionate about it anymore, and that sucks because they've sort of lost their passion in the process. I've had many people do that through prep. Yeah, I was just going to say not under my watch, but some people even under my watch, because they're just not made it cut out for it, to be real.
I have a mate that was prepping for a show, and he had his day job, he had his online business, then he had his child, his partner was pregnant with the second one, and it just became all too much, and he ended up having to call it quits. He was like 8 weeks out from his show.
Man,
he was super lean, but like everything just built up and it was affecting his mental health. He's like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, that burns.
Yeah.
It does definitely get easier with experience, like anything in life, When you mowed the lawn when you were a kid, you were freaking out.
Yeah.
Because it was like scary as, and now it's like, a day that every other day is normal. So everything comes with experience, and you're going to get better at it. You got to get up on the horse again and give it another go.
That's it. Yeah. Coming back, you mentioned hydration is so key. We know it's okay for mental health, but it's not so much the water, it's the electrolytes within that. So what should we be drinking or focusing on intaking?
So from everything I've read, they suggest that males need at least 4,500 milligrams of potassium a day, and females need around 3,500 as well.
Yep.
And you need to get it from food. So you need to, I guess, drink your water, if that makes sense. Like you need to get electrolytes from food. So, fruit, dark chocolate, magnesium, meat, very high in potassium. And when you have a higher amount of sea salt, everyone's been told salt's bad for you, but it's definitely table salt. It's only got 2 minerals, but sea salt has 95 minerals. When they produce it, it goes down to 85, and that will carry more water into your cells. And the unfortunate huge thing that's going on is everyone's drinking filtered water. And when you filter water, you lose electrolytes. You filter them out.
Okay.
And when you drink filtered water, you haven't added electrolytes, and you've actually taken away electrolytes, like a diuretic effect. So you're actually peeing more and losing more potassium, more magnesium from the diuretic water you're drinking. So I meet so many people that are dehydrating themselves, and then everyone else is telling them to drink more water, which makes them headache, migraine, exhausted, they think it's mental health. They think it's OCD, bipolar. This is all from dehydration, I'm telling you. But no one, some people listen and they feel 10 times better. When you do flush out a lot of electrolytes, one of the major ones they go are water-soluble vitamins, B, C, right? And B1 and B2 is linked to huge amounts of anxiety when it's reduced, and mental stress and mental problems. So they microwave their food, they lose the B vitamins because that heats up water, more molecules. So there goes all your water-soluble vitamins. They don't have water-soluble vitamins. Then they drink water that's filtered. That wipes out electrolytes. Now you're freaking exhausted, So you got to drink water with minerals in it, or add at least sea salt to the water if you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Or I've made a product called 180-degree greens, which is I've got a super high amount of potassium from baby wheatgrass, which contains no gluten. And it has GDAs for your blood glucose. It has liver guards. It's an all-in-one, but it's very, very high in potassium. Because over the years of doing this, I've realized that majority of people I meet are super dehydrated, if not severely dehydrated.
That's interesting, because this water, you don't drink it. It's filtered.
Yeah, that's why I brought my own.
So,
love your honesty, man. I love how honest you are.
Yeah,
it's great.
I'm open, honest.
You're open book.
I got a jug inside and it has the filter and I put the tap water in, because it's like everyone's telling you to remove all the toxins from your water.
Yeah.
But you're telling me it removes
copper,
the electrolytes as well.
100%. Did it have much electrolytes to begin with? Not really. It's already been filtered and filtered again.
Yeah, that's true.
And now you've got no electrolytes. You're drinking that and you're getting more dehydrated. We do it before shows. We drink steamed water, distilled water. And that helps us reduce water retention. Really? And yeah, a week out from a show, you can do a water flush and drop a lot of fluid. And it's the worst feeling in the world. And I've done it multiple times. I've done it with 12 liters in a day I've drank to get ready for a show.
You wouldn't piss in every 2 seconds.
Pissing like a racehorse, and you drop so much fluid. And did I feel good in that week? No. Did I have mental issues that week? Definitely. And that's why I know this, because I don't just theoretically know this, I practically know this because I've done it. And it's a horrible feeling to be dehydrated. It is mental strain and agony on your body and in your mind. you look better. I've given it to clients to flush some fluid before a wedding or before a show, and they look fantastic. And after it's finished, they continue drinking the water, believing that that's what did it. And it did do it. But do you continue drinking it later? No. At the beginning when I met them, I got them hydrated. I put them on mineral-based water from rock beds, Fiji, Evian living water, whatever. Or I added sea salt to their filtered water or whatever. And they forgot all that because then at the end I did the flush. And in that flush, you can lose 5, 10 kilogram, 15 kilogram of fluid retention, 70% of your body's water. You can dump water real quick. Fighters do it just to make weight. So that's like, they see that instant result. And you know what society we live in now, everyone wants
quick success. Yep.
And that's quick success, you know, but then they carry it on later on. And it's the worst thing you could ever do. They ring me later. I'm exhausted again. I've got headaches again. What do I do, Stan? I need to sign up again. I just put them back on regular water and they're back to feeling fantastic. Or not regular water, mineral-based water. Yeah, electrolyte water.
So do we need like 3-4 liters of water, or just we need the right water with electrolytes and potassium and everything in it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Everyone's different. Some people I've found over the years are thirsty. I need to drink more. Some people aren't, you know, but you know, if you drink more, you'll tend to flush out more fluids. So you need to up your electrolytes first thing. Some of the key indicators are heartbeat in your ear or a ringing sound like tinnitus. And a lot of people say, oh, mate, that's from work or when I used to party back in the day. No, it's not. It's usually your heart contracts from calcium and relaxes from potassium. And if you don't have enough potassium, and this is going to cause a ton of anxiety. Imagine having a ringing or heartbeat in your ear while you're trying to sleep at night.
It'd drive you crazy.
It would. And that sleep's not quality sleep. That is a disaster. And you'll wake up stressed through the eyeballs with very poor mental health, you know what I mean? And very bad decisions that next day. And you'll need stimulants. And what do stimulants do? They're a diuretic. And you'll lose more electrolytes.
Yeah.
And on it goes. You're in this, you're a rat on a wheel and you're making things worse. You're not going forward. So I get people off this wheel and they feel better than ever. They drop a lot of fluid and they look great and they feel great. But that makes me feel fantastic. You know, that's worth more than money itself. And someone looks you in the face and says, I feel fantastic, man. Or writes you a message like that, you know?
That is, yeah, this is interesting. That's what it's about. We want to feel good. And if we don't feel good, if we're not intaking the right foods, hydration, anything like that, that does affect all up here.
Yeah.
People don't understand that. It's all connected.
Yeah, I'm at the comp, I'm backstage, and I have a lot of electrolytes, you know, like I drink my greens 3 times a day, especially now I put on even more muscle tissue because now I need more electrolytes, right? Because muscles require more water, mine are bigger. And I've had my serves of the day. I've got my electrolytes at the show. I'm ready to go. And I'm walking around and ask anyone at the shows, they're all on the floor, lying down, looking at me like this. And they think, just to answer you. And they're drained out, man. And I'm like, hey, go, man, how's your day? What's happening? Same as I am today. And I'm shredded. And they're like, how do you do this? Like I'm doing interviews at the back and getting photos and talking to my mates. It's just another day. And it's just from hydration. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel good during my prep. You know, your unfortunate mate who quit, we would have felt a lot better if we had gone through some of these things to make him feel better. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's been to your gym a couple of times now. He actually has to come under you and train, I reckon.
Oh, cool. What a small world.
I wish I knew this stuff back when I was 16 instead of going down the route of steroids, just understanding hydration, food, what we actually need. I would have got so much more benefit out of that.
Yeah, and I wish I did too, because it took me a long time to get a good coach. And I went through a few coaches, but it even took me a long time to approach a coach. I don't know if it was ego or anxiety maybe. I think I was, you look at these big guys and think, oh my goodness, you know, this guy kills people. He looks so dangerous. And he's got the most social anxiety out of anyone. Mm. And he's the nicest guy in the room. He's more concerned about you, you know, walking up to talk to him. But it took me a long time to approach someone like that. And it's so cool to see now young kids coming up to me all the time. I don't know whether it's my social media or social media in general, because it makes you more approachable because they get to know you a bit better.
Yep.
And, I like to have a laugh on mine and not take things too seriously. But they approach me so much more. And I always say to them, man, I'm so proud of you being 16 to come in here and get a plan. I wish I did it when I was your age. Things would have happened a lot quicker and a lot healthier and a lot better. And if anyone's listening there that's really young, just take the courage to say a few words to the big guy at the gym or the coach that you've been looking up to or someone who's got a fair bit of knowledge. Actually, you want to make sure of that so you don't get down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And go up to them and have the courage to say, can you help me with a few things? And they'll be over the moon, like any man's ego from a younger man coming up to him and asking for help. is the best feeling in the world. You know what I mean? Of course I'll train you. Of course I'll show you some tips and hacks. Same as if you're on the tools and some young kid asks you how to screw something in or hammer something in, you feel like the man, or mechanics with the car. It's just a man thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're young, you're listening, like definitely ask and you won't regret it because you'll see things happen a lot quicker and better. Yeah.
That's it. And quick one. This podcast is now sponsored by Savvy Beverages, the 100% all-natural brain-boosting nootropics drink. Savvy have actually just revamped all their flavors, and let me tell you, they are amazing. My favorite flavor being the mixed berry, but they also have lime and a new flavor, passion fruit. But I'll be honest, taste is not the only reason why I love Savvy. I used to struggle with coffee, any sort of energy drink, anything that had caffeine in it, I could not have because it would set off anxiety within me. Now, what I love about Savvy is it has a 2-to-1 ratio of caffeine and a little ingredient called L-theanine. Now, here's the kicker. L-theanine allows you to experience the energy boost of caffeine without those pesky, anxious side effects. It's honestly a game changer, and it's why I continue to drink Savvy. So if you're interested in trying out Savvy Beverages for yourself, head over to their website at www.savvybeverage.com.au. The link will be in the description. And as a special treat, they're offering an exclusive discount just for you. So use my discount code BETAR20, so that's BETAR 20, during your checkout to receive 20% off your order. Let's get back to the episode. If you want to be in that position of someone else, you need to ask for their help.
Yeah.
Push the ego to the side and ask for help. That's the only way you're going to grow.
Yeah, we do have that as men. Hey, like sometimes you don't want to get the opinion from the other guy. You want to go, I'll show you.
Yeah, I do it myself. Yeah.
I'll outdo you.
And then we go through it and we're like, fuck, I wish we had someone that we could look up to when we were younger. But hey, now we get to pass down that knowledge to the next generation.
And sometimes they can spill over to envy too, I've noticed as well, which really sucks, when you get to know someone and the whole time they've just been trying to outdo you. That's the worst. Like, jealousy's a bitch, but someone being envious that is around you and knows you, that's just a rat.
Yeah.
And they can literally try to like take what you've got and copy you, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies. So definitely don't be that guy either.
Nah, have empathy for them because they got a lot of shit going on in their head.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a way to look at it for sure.
Have you heard of David Goggins before?
The runner?
Yeah, the crazy guy.
Yeah. A Marine. Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to come back.
I actually did a video running, trying to mimic David Goggins.
Yeah, okay.
Which sucks because my breathing's way harder than his is.
Do you run much?
Nah. I didn't, but never been a runner.
Yeah.
Really big calves genetically, fast twitch muscle fibers, but always been a sprinter. I killed sprinting in school, but it made me do long distance even when I was young and before bodybuilding and everything else. Forget about it. Just wasn't in my genotype.
Yeah, okay. That's something that I've adopted as long distance. Like I've done marathons and everything like that before.
Unreal.
I hated it, but I love it at the same time. Just the mental gains that you get from pushing your body to that limit. But the reason I bring up David Goggins and coming back to the short training sessions where we now live in a society, as I said, we have these people out there smashing themselves, and people feel if I want to achieve that, I've got to smash myself day in, day out.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Like David Goggins, and then for you go in the gym 20 minutes. Like, it's society. It is weird.
Stay hard.
Yeah.
Stay hard. Stay hard, motherfucker. Yeah. It's so tough because a lot of guys online, there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue. There's no such thing as overtraining. And it makes you feel like you can't even talk about it sometimes. You can't have an opinion about it. And some guys have got adrenals like watermelons. You can smash them. I've met them. They can train for days. And other guys don't. And girls. It just depends on your genotype and your body type. How will you know that? Well, you're exhausted. Your eyes are burning. You're not recovering. That's not good signs. You're either lacking nutrients, lacking amino acids, lacking, or lacking recovery. And you're overtraining, man. You can go get your bloods done and check it. You can check your cortisol levels to a degree. You can see in your urine if it's darkening. You can smell your breath. If your breath is changing, that's a big indicator. You're breaking down muscle tissue. So it's definitely a thing, but for some people, it's not a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's so tough. There's duality.
Yeah, it's like stay hard. You're being a bitch if you
stay hard. You're being a bitch. But Dave Goggins can stay hard. He can go hard. He broke his body into being hard, and he's probably got some genetic gifts to be hard. He's black. He all got a better twitch fibers and slow twitch fibers and endurance. Do I have that? No. Am I going to try to pretend to be that? I could push myself and get some of it, but genetically I know that's not who I am. And I figured out at an early age, just like I told you, I was a sprinter, and sprinters are jacked. You know, they're WADA, ASADA tested, they're natural. Look at them. A lot of them don't even go to the gym because it would slow them down, right? And they got huge fast twitch muscle fibers. And that's my genetics. And if you're a sprinter and you've got some decent cars, some decent muscles, a couple of people look at you saying, when you're younger, you got a bit of muscles, you got potential to do fast twitch muscle exercises. That doesn't mean bodybuilding. It could be a sprinter, could be a power lifter, could be something explosive, you know, a prop in the NRL. But if you're the skinnier guy or whatever, who's got some endurance, great at long distance, well, you're going to kick ass at those events. So try to find out who you are as a genotype, as a person's genetics. And that's what's going to suit you. And then you got to do well at it, and that's going to make you happy. And then you get that confidence, you're going to go, well, you know, you're going to find some passion out of that. People are going to respond, start talking to you, talking it up. You're going to have a bit of swagger about yourself, and off you go. But you got to figure yourself out, or have someone who has the knowledge to be able to figure you out. Like, I'll be able to sit down with you, go through some symptoms questions that's taken me years to develop, and I'll know a fair bit about you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I can finally guide you in a direction that I think suits. You know, are you parasympathetic? Are you sympathetic? I can finally set up a program, you know, with food. If you're very chilled, I'm not going to give you a lot of things to chill out. I'm not going to give you a lot of carbs. I'm not going to give you a lot of grounding food. I'm going to stress you out because you need to train harder because you're too relaxed. But if you're a stress head and you're a worry wart and you wake up overnight and you bite your nails and you tap your feet, you know, and you roll your ankles, you're sympathetic, man. You're stressed. If you talk fast, you shouldn't be training for ages. No way.
Yeah, wow. Well, what's your take on diets? More so, like, the big thing now is like carnivore diet. Have you looked into much into that, like the benefits? And
oh yeah, somewhat. And I'm definitely a huge fan of meat. And you know, if the government says it's not good for you, it definitely is.
Yep.
So I'm huge on fats, vitamin A, D, E, K, butyrate, CLA, phenomenal, antibacterial, antimicrobial, and meat has high quality, good fat if you're buying it grass fed, and protein. You know, protein builds muscle. Protein is the building block for your neurons in your brain. So if you want to think straight, think well, carbs will make you foggy. We all know it, you know, and they're going to convert to sugar quickly, raise your insulin. If insulin's elevated, it's very difficult to burn fat. It's a very anabolic hormone, so it's times to use it for sure. Like during your workout, this is a hydrator, and it's going to, and when you remember what we were talking about earlier, this matches up really well. We're talking about breaking down muscle when you train.
Yeah.
So if you want to prevent muscle loss while you train, you want to have an anabolic hormone like insulin. Through the day, bashing all day long, you're going to get a lot of insulin resistance. Your insulin's going to say, I don't like you anymore, Nick, and I'm shutting down, I'm going to resist it, I'm not going to help you. And you're going to get tired after you eat carbs, and you're going to be yawning all day. And you're going to have to eat more carbs because you're more tired. And why are you tired as well? Well, the insulin's lowering potassium, and electrolytes create electric conductivity, energy. So my diet's big on potassium, big on protein, big on fats, and big on timing carbs right. So big on all of the macros, you know?
It's the fine balance of it all. And is it more so just cutting out the manufactured shit, like having more natural meats?
Yes and no. Yes and no, because if we're talking bodybuilding, you want a lot of insulin. You want a manufactured carb. They're quicker, they're higher GI, they're in and out faster, you know? That's the one time where everyone bags the crap out of sugar. And it's true, it feeds bad bacteria in your gut, blah, blah, blah. But if you're training, your GLUT4 is open, your receptors to suck up sugar into your muscle cells. It's like the drug metformin does it, or a natural supplement berberine does it, or training does it the most. And if you're training, you open up that GLUT4, you can suck up heaps of sugar into that muscle, and a lot less is going to end up in your colon, end up feeding bad bacteria. And do I want a low GI, slow carb when I'm working out? No. One molecule of carbs, I reckon, can carry 2.6 molecules of water into the muscle. So I want that muscle full like a balloon. So I expand it and then I'll tear more muscle. So I want a high GI manufacturing carb when I train. Even a peptide carb, like highly branched chain cyclic dextrose, like a really broken down carb.
And we can't get that from any natural sources, or?
Well, sugar's fairly quick already. So you could just have a Ribena if you're on a budget. You get
Can fruit get that?
Well, fructose kind of sucks because it doesn't pass the liver as well as glucose.
Yeah.
So sugar's got a bit of both. And the cool thing of having a bit of both, if the liver's full of sugar, it'll pass into the muscles, they reckon, a little bit quicker too, because the liver's sort of topped up, now it goes to your muscles. So sugar's got a bit of both, but just fructose, I wouldn't say, because that can give you a non-alcoholic fatty liver, won't pass through the liver as quick, and then you might be going hypo through the workout because of it and not getting as much effect from it. But your glute's open, you're pumping sugar up to that muscle, it'll still end up going up there too, for sure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not that huge on, they're all from corn as well, which is GMO and rubbish. And not huge on fructose at all. But
Yeah.
But some carb products have some fructose in it to try and, what they explain is to try and step over the liver so the sugars then move on to the muscles even quicker.
Yeah.
I just like, I like highly branched chain cyclic dextrose. I don't get bloated, I don't get gas, and I get heaps in my muscle, and I can have quite a lot of it. Like I could have 125 grams, 150 grams of it in a workout, no problem. No bloat, not even a burp.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's having it to serve its purpose. It's not in like your daily meals. It's just in that workout, and it goes straight into the muscles, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, wow. Coming back to test levels, and you mentioned everyone's aware that as a society, men naturally low test. It's going down and down and down. How do we naturally increase that?
Zinc is a huge one.
Yeah.
And if you're out there having a very sexually active, you're going to be reducing a lot of zinc, because guess what, boys? The semen needs a lot of zinc.
What about semen retention?
Yeah. Well, some people say to stay away from sex and stuff like that. But, you're going to build up more zinc. But yeah, zinc's a huge one. There's natural supplements now. Tonga Cat Ali's got a lot of studies, a lot of proof. And the biggest thing is protecting your progesterone, which many people don't talk about. So if progesterone drops, your tests will drop and your estrogen will increase, most likely. And that's from stress. So we live in a very stressful world these days. You just turn the TV on for 5 seconds and you're stressed out, right? Like the news can go kiss my ass. It's just about raising cortisol. So stay away from cortisol, stay away from stress. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do, is it? Eating frequently will lower cortisol, so that will help you. And then other things to raise natural testosterone. Boron is a trace mineral from the ground. We're lacking a lot of trace minerals because food is grown so quickly. You can buy it now, like by itself, and supplement it, So this supplements the blood up because of these things. Food's processed quicker. It doesn't have time to carry nutrients from the ground like zinc and boron, manganese, magnesium into the fruit or into the vegetable or for the cow to eat from the grass or whatever. So yeah, we've got to up your trace minerals, lower your stress. This might be overtraining that we've already talked about. This is going around really well now because it's all coming together, I guess, like what we've been talking about. So that will raise natural testosterone.
How do you lower your stress? Do you meditate, any sort of modalities like that?
I like that heart breathing. So you breathe in with a big breath.
Yep.
And then a second breath. And then exhale. I like opening up and stretching, If there was a big ass lion that walked in right now, you and me would not breathe slowly and stretch open. We would cower and freak out. Yeah. That's what seating does. It's like a cowering position. Like unfortunately truck drivers and stuff like that experience. So I'll open up some days, just stretch. And then I love, I don't want to keep promoting my products, but yes, I do. I'm not going to lie. So you know what? I want to promote them because they work and they're great and people love me for them. So it should be out there. And I use a product called 180 Sedate, which is a blend of a bark extract and a tea extract that finally got rid of my restless legs because I had it for a long time to a point where I thought I was crazy. Like I was just cracking my ankles every night. And it was from excess training and dieting and all that sort of stuff, which I didn't know about when I was younger. Like similar experience to you. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yep.
And a coach gave it to me. And that's when I started respecting supplements a lot, actually, because it got rid of it. And I calmed down. I calmed down big time. And I take 4 or 5 of these after I work out in capsule form and 4 or 5 before bed. And if something happens to me at work that triggers me, I'll take them straight away. They're a great calming agent that stops excess thoughts, excess gluconorates to the brain, which are stress thoughts. A lot of ADHD people suffer with that. And they're very good at, actually, studies have shown they elevate DHEA through the roof, which is a steroidal hormone, and they naturally elevate it very high. And they also naturally elevate growth hormone. So they're giving you hormonal benefits and they're relaxing you. And I love natural sedatives. Other than supplements, if you don't have the money, you can use teas. So I love peppermint tea. I even wake up and have it sometimes first thing in the morning. I love chamomile, lemon balm, Melissa, all these sort of natural teas that calm you down. And the other thing that can calm you down as well, lower your stress, is eating. So if you're skipping a lot of meals, I mean, a lot of people that fast, I think fasting is fantastic. It's great for your gut health. It's great for your liver. It's great for autophagy to clear dead cells and toxins. But most people I meet that are fasting are stressed through the roof and have been fasting way too long, and it's not happening for them. So eating frequently will lower stress. Fasting sometimes works really well.
How far do we take supplements? I think in the industry that you're in, and yes, you have your own supplement company, but as a society, people are going supplement first before food and hydration. Supplement is meant to supplement your diet, yet people are putting the supplement first.
Yeah, some of these supplements suck. Like some of them are not methylated, like synthetic B vitamins, and it drives me nuts because you're taking something that's actually blocking the receptor that food would have aided in and methylated toxins out of. So some synthetic supplements are just expensive urine. And you've got to be careful when you're buying. You've got to know what you're buying, and you've got to research it and look into it, and nothing will beat food. God gave us so many foods that are just ridiculous. You know, you cut a carrot, you see an eye, and it helps your eye. You look at celery, it looks like a bone. It helps your bones. You look at a walnut, it looks like your brain. Guess what? The fats in the walnut, omega-3s, omega-6, or omega-9s, they're fantastic for your brain. It's just crazy. Like, it's literally laid out in front of you. And nothing will beat food as long as it's grown right. And that's where we're failing, because we're growing it quicker and not letting it have those nutrients that it needs so that we can pass on to our bodies, you know?
Yeah.
That's where supplements are taking off. And is it a good thing? No. But is it a way to counter it? Yes. You know, 65% of the population is deficient in tyrosine. They can't focus. They just sit there zoned out, you know? I'm one of them. I need to take it. I take it every day. I feel fantastic on it, and I supplement it daily, you know? And another thing I supplement daily, and something everyone should supplement daily, is removal of heavy estrogen and heavy toxins, because DDT is in the air, and it was banned, like, I think in the 60s, but third world countries still use it. And air travels, man, weather travels.
What's that? Sorry, DDT?
DDT, the poisons that they use on plants and stuff.
Ah, yeah. Gets into the air. Yeah.
Glyphosate, all toxins go into your body treats them as an estrogen. It doesn't know what to do with them. And you got to build up a huge amounts of estrogen. Petrochemicals, they're called xenoestrogens. So, you know, everything you sniff and smell, the glues, all this stuff, things you can't pronounce on the back of the bottle, is spraying under your armpits. It's all going to be estrogen.
Yeah. Well.
So I think a lot of men and women need to be constantly supplementing or eating things that remove these estrogens and protect your serms and help your liver, because that's the main organ for filtering, right? And Epsom salt baths, infrared sauna. I use, again, anti-EEE, which is calcium D-glucarate. You can buy it yourself. It's not overly expensive, and I take 3 daily. Otherwise, I'm prone to estrogen, and I'm prone to getting estrogen side effects. You mentioned gynecomastia. A lot of men have it now. I probably do 2 check-ins a week now where I see gyno. Never saw that before. When I started doing coaching 8 years ago, I didn't see gyno that much. I see it all of the time.
And it's occurring naturally. Like for me, it was through taking gear, but you're seeing it occurring naturally.
Occurring naturally. These are not steroid users. These are not PEDs. This is naturally occurring gyno.
Holy shit.
So this is a mammary gland behind your nipple that all men have, and they're enlarging, you know, and that's from all these xenotoxins, xenoestrogens, which are a lot stronger than phytoestrogens. So phytoestrogens, alcohol, hops, you know, in beer. We've heard all those ones, you know, dairy, very estrogenic, milk, you know, not so much yogurts and cheese, but milk. Oh my gosh.
So you don't do milk?
No, it's from an obese, prolactating cow's tits. Like, it's prolactin, literally in the glass. You don't do milk. No, nothing drinks milk once they're fully grown. Milk is for babies. Like Schwarzenegger said, milk is for babies, you know, and everyone's still sucking on that fat obese nipple, you know, it's crazy. There's mucus in it, blood, and all sorts of dramas. But the dairy industry in Australia is worth billions, and they own all the marketing. And you tend to drink a lot of milk when you're severely lacking potassium. There's tons of potassium. So most drinkers out there, if you're sucking down milk and you're having heaps of ice cream or whatever, it's because you're just deficient in potassium.
What's your take on those other sorts of milks, like the oat milk and all that kind of crap that only has 1% of what they actually call it?
Yeah, well, that's at first I freaked out because oats have got lots of glyphosate. Almonds are very high in omega-6. If you look at the ratio of omega-3 to 6, and the omega-6 is highly inflammatory, and they're 1 to 2008 in almond milk, which is super high. But then you look at the back of the carton, they're very low in any of it anyway.
It says, I think I picked up one and it said almonds like 6% or 3% or something like that.
Yeah, I'm really
How can you call this almond milk?
I'm really lucky to have a mate, Benny. Thank you, Benny. And he's studying to be, what's the title of his doctrine? I forgot the title because he's a genius. He's going to be, doing brain surgery. But he's got some sort of specific title in his university. Anyway, the guy's a genius. And I put out a post, almond milk, omega-6, oats, glyphosate, blah, blah. But he broke it down for me, and he's a very smart boy. I'm glad to have him in my network. There's very small amounts in all the milk, and it just has to be like a truckload of water, truckload of water, and like you said, a couple of percent of whatever. Do I want a couple of percent of whatever that's not good for me? Not really. We were discussing before the podcast about fake sweeteners, and if you have an amino acid, you have a protein shake, and you have carbs during workout, you have a sleep formula, and they've all got fake sweetener. It can end up calculating to be a lot more of sucrose or aspartame. All of a sudden, people are telling you this is a very, very small percent, blah, blah, blah. But if you're having 5 products a day of it and constantly consuming it, that could add up to being a lot. Mm. So, yeah, less is best of all those things, I
want to dive into mental health specifically. Today is the last day of the month, which is meant to be Mental Health Month.
Meant to be. I like how you said that.
Meant to be.
Didn't hear much mention today.
I seen your post. I put up a post about it too. No one's talking about it.
Yeah, there should be some more pride involved.
Yeah.
With men's mental health week. It seems like it's been brushed aside.
How does that make you feel as a man? I seen on your Instagram, I've never felt more paranoid being a man than I do in this era. Why?
Yeah, toxic masculinity, if I go overseas, and I know this is this is an ego thing, but I've been to Dubai, I've been to Fiji. In Fiji, a whole town came out and celebrated me, and they called me River. River, River, River. I was like, what's this river thing? They're like, River, show us, River. They were so proud of me, and they said, you are strong like a river. Man, do you know what that does for you? I'm telling you, no man exaggeration, it must have been 100, 200 people. My wife was like, your head's blowing up. I love her because she always grounds me down hard. But it was. And I hit some shots, and they all celebrated me and clapped for me, man. These people in this rural town, we went deep into Fiji, like just really experience it, you know what I mean? Into like a jungle tour. And these people freaked out. But then if I walk around in the streets of Western Sydney, or even worse, the city, I get frowned upon. I can tell by your face, I can read you like a book. And I get things said to me from a distance, like far enough distance you can run away from me, and we already know I'm not a long distance runner, but I'm a sprinter.
Yeah. And
it's so sad, to work your ass off and dedicate yourself to something, to have a passion. And I get looked at like that. This is hard work. This is willpower that you see in front of you. And I get those comments, I get those opinions, but someone next to me who's morbidly obese or, God knows what other issues, they're okay. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. And I'm sorry to morbidly obese people. I don't want to step on anyone's toes either. I don't want to become that guy that they're doing to me. That's not cool either. But that's where my head's at now. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have to cover up and hide almost. It's crazy. And why should I feel like that? I should feel proud.
That's it. You've worked hard to achieve what you've achieved. Who gives a shit? Like, it's that tall poppy syndrome in Australia, and it's fucking disgusting, man. Like, I get you on here, I'm like, this guy is business, bodybuilder, you've achieved so much. I want to speak to you because I see you as high stature, and I want to celebrate you. I want to get your story out there. I want to have a conversation because I can learn from you. Yet in a society, people see people like yourself and try and knock you down. Why? Because it brings out their own insecurities of what they haven't achieved in their own life. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. And I feel like society is leaning that way too. There's a lot of people that don't even feel like they can say that they do bodybuilding. I can see people sign up to the gym and they say, oh, I want to gain muscle and lose fat. I'm like, oh, you want to do bodybuilding? They're like, no. I just want to gain lots of muscle, lose fat. It's like, why don't you say you're building your body? There's nothing wrong with that. But they're saying that a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that, For you to build confidence in yourself, in your body, for you to look at yourself each day and say, I'm proud of what I've done and what I've achieved, that will inspire you to have more confidence and be better, not worse. And if you're doing it to get worse, then you're a scumbag. Do you know what I mean? But I think it should be, it does suck because bodybuilders, a lot of them have ruined it as well because, their ego's through the roof. They don't have empathy. They are selfish. I met a lot of those as well. And that's the thing. So I understand a lot of people looking at me and thinking that first because I haven't met a lot of narcissistic. We're all narcissistic to do this. you know. Fell into it. You heard my story, my history. That's where I fell into it. I thought it was to protect myself. I thought it was to be untouchable and this man, do you know what I mean? And it turns out you're more afraid of someone with your build who can know the technique of UFC or grappling. I've had a girl, Bonnie, she's a UFC fighter. She's put me in a chokehold. Oh my gosh. I think she could beat the crap out of me. She's a machine. But that's what got me into it. But unfortunately, some men and some women have let that image become a thing too. And I'm definitely about showing a different side to us for sure. Most of my bodybuilding mates are champions. They are the nicest, hardworking, will do anything for you, drop anything. And they don't come across with the ego and narcissism. But I guess that's stained on us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word toxic masculinity before.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? How do you define it?
Yeah, well, I never been asked that. How do I define it? I guess like they would assume that you are full of ego, you come across aggressive, you look aggressive, you want to put others down and stuff like that, which is nothing that I'm about at all. I want to put a smile on everyone's doll, love having a laugh, love protecting people that are weaker and vulnerable. The opposite.
The way I kind of look at it is, I don't think it's toxic traits, but it's not toxic masculinity. I feel it's the lack of masculinity. Because someone who is actually masculine, they're not going to be doing that boy shit.
No.
So as a society, I feel like we actually lack masculinity, which is then being labeled as toxic masculinity to put all men down. They feel like they can't be masculine.
Yeah, those boys end up doing a lot of errors, in life and doing a lot of silly things. And they're not masculine. They're not controlling the masculine side of them. They're just idiots, really, Yeah. Toxic traits.
That's it. Be a good man, but don't be a nice guy.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? I was interested when I read that.
Well, if someone judges your character or puts you down, there's a time to be a good man and stand up for yourself. If there's, things put against you and blockages, walls put up against you, you can't be a nice guy. You got to bust through things. You got to be a good man, even to yourself. Do you know what I mean? You have to stand up for what you believe in and who you are.
What does a good man mean to you, and what are your value systems that you live by?
Well, I'm Catholic and I live by the Bible. I believe in the Bible and I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something you can't say these days too, which is strange, but I believe in man and woman, all the laws of the Bible. I've witnessed miracles with my own eyes. So I'm a Bible guy, Anytime I've had trouble, you reach for the Bible. You can open a chapter, can show you like a message. I guess because I believe in it. So, of course it's going to show me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where my character comes from and what I believe in,
Do you feel like you can be yourself?
I feel like I've come to a point where I can, because I'm being a good man.
Yeah.
I've finally grown to have the wisdom and courage to do that. But, when you're younger, you follow the group and follow the herd and peer pressure and whatever. And it takes time to grow out of that and become a man, yourself.
I want to play a little game. So pick a number between 1 and 22 and there's going to be a question there for you.
Yeah.
What's your number?
Well, sorry, what was the numbers between?
1 and 22.
Okay. Tell you my number?
Yeah. 2. If you could go back in time to your darkest time, what would you tell yourself to get through that?
Do UFC, do jiu-jitsu. Go back and do jiu-jitsu. My darkest time was when I was younger and I went through all those, the fighting and everything else. And I felt fragile, I felt weak. And I would say to myself, you're going to get stronger and you're going to grow up.
Did you feel bodybuilding helped you break away from all that anger, or was there other inner work that you did along the way to be the man that's here today?
Definitely gives you a lot of confidence, when you start getting stronger, and there's even a bigger guy who trains with you and you're stronger than him and he's taller than you and bigger frame and you're stronger than him. It makes a big difference for a man, you feel like, wait a minute, I might be a bit shorter or whatever, but I got more power than you. If I wanted to, do you know what I mean? I could use it. So it builds a lot of confidence, and then that helps you with your mindset and even the structure and the consistency, because you carry that through to your job, your relationship, your family. If you prep, you become an automated robot. And then once you finish that prep, if you finish it, you know you can conquer so many more mountains, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the beginning. And if I take that attitude and that focus into my relationship or into my business, I know I've got that willpower to do it. So that showed me that as well. That gave me that confidence for that as well.
What's next for you? What's the next 5 years look like?
I wanted to go pro. I was 1 point short last year to a really big guy from Adelaide. You know, you got to beat the super in Australia. You got to win your category, then win the overall show. And the super heavy is always the big guy. You know, he's over 100 kilo, huge. So I missed by 1 point, and I was only in the under 90s. And I want to get that point. I want to win that pro card, and I want to eventually do Olympia. That'll be the bucket list for the 212s, the shorter guys. That'll be huge for me.
So when's all that happen? Is it this year or next year? Or?
Well, there's a prep in 15 weeks. I haven't said anything. I haven't announced anything. So yeah, I'm here now, and I haven't told anyone. Oh, sorry, I take that back. My wife finally busted me last night saying, "What is this you're talking about?" Because she's like already packing her bags. She's joking, but she knows there's a few challenges ahead. She helps me a bit with the food especially towards the end, so it's a bit more fresh cooked and more enzymes and stuff like that. And she hates that part. Cooking's a nightmare. But yeah, I told a few of my mates, close mates, but I haven't announced anywhere or anything like that. But I'm thinking I'm going to put the pedal down now that the gym's established and I've got a bit of time and I've got people that are great in management and I've delegated roles. I can finally focus on myself again, because, you know, I did lose about 7 kilograms building that gym. So I went backwards a lot. But now I'm around people that I like, that are my members, and they're all our friends because they came first, and I'm so grateful. But that vibe, man, I train harder than ever in that place, because it's who you surround yourself with, right? Like, we've all said it, we've all heard other people say it, but that energy, man, you can have that contained in the walls, like you'll have here. Whoever came here and sort of left their soul here and there, it's going to end up in this room, and you feel it, you know what I mean? You get more powerful from it. Mm-hmm. So I'm training hard in that gym now, you know, like I'm stepping it up. So I was like, why not? Let's have another crack. It was so close last year. I tried to go to Taiwan to make up for it and get a title. If I'd gone to Japan the week prior, I would have won. Like, and I know there's a lot of people say woulda, coulda, whatever, but I've seen the photos. I met people that were at the show, and they're like, man, if you just went a week earlier in Japan, you would have won that whole show, won the pro card. I was like, damn it. You know, it was all meant to be.
That's it. Now you got this next journey ahead of you.
Yeah, that's the next step. Want to franchise out the gyms eventually. You know, you see the franchises do so well, but I want to from a different angle, you know, where it's more communal, where the members are up on the walls, where it's Australian. It's not Ronnie Coleman and Chris Bumstead, and it's Australian athletes. You know, we should be so proud of ourselves. There's so much talent in Australia. Aaron Polites, Josh Lenartovitz, Sam Pearce. There's so many fantastic athletes we have, and they're not celebrated. I feel. Mm-hmm. They are, like, you know, but well, they're not. Aaron came down to my gym. First thing I asked him to do was sign the wall. He goes, you know, mate, I'm from Queensland. You know how many walls I've signed in gyms in Queensland? 0.
Really?
That's so sad to hear. He's such a top bloke. Multiple businesses, beautiful family, hardworking bloke, done Olympia in the States, top 10. And no walls signed in his own state. You know what I mean? It's like they don't even...
That tall poppy syndrome again, bro. No one... You could be the highest at your game in Australia, but no one really cares.
And we're not even tall.
Yeah.
And tall to begin with. Us 20 minutes.
You mentioned your wife before, joking around saying she's going to pack your bag because you're going to be prepping soon. Yeah. How important is to have someone like that in your corner, especially when you're going to go through this journey again?
She's an amazing woman, and I grew up with her. Like, we were in the same hostel, our parents. So her parents escaped Poland.
Oh, really?
Yes, a big story there. Like, I shared a pram because we didn't have one. So wow. I already smelled the pheromones when I was a little baby, you know? And it was my first crush. I was, you know, family friends. I was 5 years old. I was just obsessed with her. And
so it was like arranged but not arranged.
Yeah. They didn't mean to arrange it, but they did. Yeah. It's so funny. Her dad and my dad ended up in a newspaper article together because the hostel turned on them one day, and not being, you know, racist or whatever, it was a racial thing. Like, there was a couple of Polacks and a lot of Asians. It was probably like 80-20 mix in the hostel, and some wife was with her kids, and they were taking the food all the time from the kids. And the wife was like, I can't keep doing this week in, week out. And she spoke to my dad, she spoke to her dad, and they started protecting her when they went to go get food. And then they ended up in a massive punch up with the whole hostel. Like, we're talking forks, knives, kids, mums, dads, and my old man and her old man, knuckle busted, broken fingers, whatever. My old man said he went down to his elbows because these were already so damaged, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So then they ended up in a paper, in an article. So they got to know each other. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Man, this has been an amazing conversation. I thank you for coming in here and opening up and being raw and vulnerable. And, the big focus is on mental health for this podcast, but a lot of what we've spoken about around our physical health and hydration and food and training, like that all correlates into our mental health. If we don't get that in check, we can quickly find ourselves in a downward spiral, man. We need to, my big focus is on mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. So for you to come in here and share the value that you've done, man, I really appreciate it. And I've definitely got a lot of value out of it. I definitely have to connect further when it comes to the training and the diet and all that stuff. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. I definitely feel like I've gone through that with you today. Mind, body, spirit. You rocked me a few times and it's great. Like, I haven't had a down earth chat like this. So I'm grateful for you to have me. I hope every man out there is proud of themselves and lifts themselves up. And I hope they can take some of these hacks and get better from them, not worse. And keep being a strong man, keep pushing forward.
Stan, we have a closing tradition on the podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest without knowing who it is.
Oh, man.
So the question for you is, what's your biggest regret in life and why?
My biggest regret in life? You shouldn't look back at regrets. You can't fix the past, You just live in the present. I don't want to look back at regrets, but I'm going to say I wish I did things earlier. I had money ready to go. I was 16, 17. I should have bought an apartment, and my old man freaked me out and told me not to do it. I already had confidence to do it. My mum was backing me, everything, and I should have done things earlier. Do not wait around to do anything. Get that coach, get that financial thing right, get into real estate early. Don't hold back and don't be afraid of nothing. The Bible says do not be afraid 365 times. That's for one day of every day of the year. So do not be afraid. And I regret not doing things earlier.
Okay. And to reframe that, a spin-off question. In the moment where you thought it may have been a regret for any point during your life, but now it's turned out to be a blessing. Have there been any of those moments?
Yeah, not hurting that kid.
Yeah.
And not ending up into some sort of life of crime or whatever, into a system. And thank God I didn't do that. And instead I felt obsessed and in love with training, and it kept me away from so many problems in my life. Without the gym, I would have been in all sorts of drama. So I'm grateful that it ended up the way it did. Yeah.
Stan, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, brother.
I've really appreciated this conversation, this connection, and this energy in this room. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, grateful.
For the listeners, if you got some value out of today's episode, please remember to like, share, subscribe, check out Stan. I'm excited for your next comp and getting that pro card, everything like that.
Yep. Let's do it.
Thank you, bro.
Thoughts become things, words become things. I love that you said that. Let's make it happen.
That's it, baby.
That'll be the next podcast.
Guys, I've teamed up with Ty Leonards from Betar today. We had an amazing conversation and connection through our podcast, and we thought, you know what? Let's take it further. Let's deepen this connection. And Ty's actually put together this journal. It's a 6-week journal. He's worked with psychologists, nutritionists, put together which I would call a mental fitness journal. It encapsulates everything that we speak about here at the Betar Project when it comes to mind, body, spirit. And I thought, you know what? We're so aligned here. Let's team up. These journals honestly take the stress out of accessing mental health education, and they give you a chance to learn what simple daily decisions can be impacting our mental health and how you can take the action to improve your mental fitness day in and day out. If you're interested, click the link in the description and use the discount code BETAR, that's BETAR, to receive 15%